Okay, so you said you finished playing basketball in around 91.
Right.
And then your life took a curve. Take us through that curve.
Well, in 91, I was waiting. My agent at that time was a guy named Eric Cummings. And I was trying to go back overseas. I was trying to get back to Europe. I thought I could still play. I was in Belgium, and I had the guy that was playing with me named Antoine Jobert that played at Michigan. Me and him was in the backcourt in a team in Belgium. And I tore my hamstring again. And the coach wanted me to coach the team. I coached the team, and when I came back, my agent was telling me to, try to get a coaching job. They wanted me to come back and coach, and I wanted to play. So during the course of that, some other things, came into play, which was my uncertainty as being a youngster here in Washington, and that was the streets. And I ended up making a bad decision as the air was being let out of the ball. I ended up being involved in an armed robbery, money laundering, extortion, and spent 18 and a half years in prison. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I wouldn't want none of the other young kids who got all the eggs in one basket and it don't work go to the streets, because I am an example here in Washington of making a bad decision and going to prison. And coming out now, I try to speak at all the youth ministries, all the churches. I try to speak at the schools because it seemed like from back then till now, these lifestyles carry people too far, and they end up in prison. And bouncing back from prison and coming to a town like Washington is kind of hard. But the fact that basketball helped me to be recognized here in the city where people want to help me as I'm trying to help other people and be an example. I wanted to do this part of the story to let people know that you don't have to be on that side of the fence to get the attention that you need.
In danger space, look what you're facing, gave your heart.
First of all, I was living in PG County, and they came to my house maybe about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and they came and got me. And when I got to the place where they took me out in PG County, I was sitting in the cell. Everybody was coming by looking at me, and I guess was just taking a look at who they had. So I went from PG County, was transferred to Washington, and when I got down to Central Cell Block, some of the police and detectives, came in there and looked at me and, asked me was I okay, and one of the police, was like, man, where did you go wrong, and wanted to know, if I was okay back there. And my whole thing was I was trying to get in touch with my lawyer at that time, who was, rest in peace, Gary Christian, whose father was my coach in junior high school. His sons became lawyers and judges. And every place I went, people were looking in on me, trying to see if it was really me. My real name is Anthony Hunter, but everybody in this town know me as JoJo Hunter. So I went as JoJo Hunter, when I first came in. From the case, I had so many people, coming to the courthouse, for the trial. I think one of the first times that I really knew that I was really in trouble was when I entered the courtroom, and all the people that was there that just wanted to be there. It was a packed house to hear the storyline of the case. I ended up getting 26 to 72 years and ended up doing 18 to 20 years after finding a glitch in the case that got me out in 2012. But during the time I was in, when I came to Lawton, everybody knew that I was coming down there, and I came down there the first day. They had tennis shoes and gym bags and everything that they wanted to see me play. Being in jail is a place that's filled up with just spirits, attitudes, and behaviors, and people that's looking for attention, bullies. You know, so I was in a situation where I had to fit in, like we have to do out here in society today, and try to make it through. You know, God compelled me to continue to play basketball and try to do my best to, you know, stay out of trouble, to try to get back out here. During the course of this, you know, I still had the police officers coming to the gym and, you know, where did you go wrong, and is this what you do when you get broke from playing basketball? I heard this 1,000 times. You know, a lot of guys in the prison wanted to know if I still had money. You know, we played every day, 2 or 3 times, probably some of the most physical basketball, because that's all you can do when you're locked up is play basketball, read, get into a religion, and just try to stay out the way.
How did your basketball popularity affect you inside?
Well, it was good and bad.
Good, yeah, negative and positive. Okay.
It was good in the sense that every time I went to the gym, I was able to play. I didn't have to wait. People was there to see me play because of my former. And the bad part was it created jealousy and envy among people, because they wanted to know, you know, if I was getting a break in my cage. They want to know if you're hot, if you're told on somebody. So a lot of stuff comes out about the person when you're locked up. And some of the things that's the things that you shouldn't do in prison, I didn't do because I wasn't interested in doing. I came in as a man and I left out as a man.
Right.
And the fortunate thing about it is that I've been an introvert all my life, and being in prison and getting ready to get out, I was preparing myself to kind of help kids, because I got into an incident where me and a police officer got into it. They locked me down for 5 years, which considered an amount of 1,837 days where I was locked down
in a hole.
In a hole for 5 years. And my career, my lifestyle here in Washington, my family, and you know, the few friends I got were in my mind and my thoughts that helped me to get through that 1,837 days in the cell. You know, and it kind of compelled me to come out and want to tell this story and want to kind of help kids to see that I'm an example, that even though, you know, I fell from grace, you know, I'm still out here trying to give back to the community, and not wanting some other kid that maybe have dreams, whether it's track and field, basketball, football, or baseball, and want them to continue to try to keep trying. You know, I'm 63 years old now, and I'm still trying to stay in shape, trying to make the best moves for myself and be an example.
World so cold. You gain the light just to lose.
You got rules and regulations that you got to follow. Same thing out here. You miss your family. You miss being able to do what you want to do. The fact that I had a life before I went to prison helped me to continue to dream and continue to hope. The time that I got kind of killed the dream and hope, because I went in at 35 and came out at 55. But, you know, 8 at 5:30 in the morning, 8 at 12 o'clock, 8 at 5:30 again, and the food wasn't that great. What we did have was, like I say, you had spirits, you had behaviors, you had bullies, you had behaviors, and you had reputations. And it's the same thing out here, but it's on a different path. This one was negative and the other was positive. So I miss my family since I've been in. I came home, my whole family's gone. Aunts and uncles, mom, dad, everybody's gone. I got my kids that are doing well. So being in prison is being on point every day about what you do, what you say, and how you act. And you know, it's almost like being in the army. You know, you had to be a certain place at a certain time. You got 10-minute movements. So you had to pretty much structure your life based upon the rules and the regulations of how to get through the prison. You know, I got in a few altercations and you know, got locked down a few times. And you know, it wears on your mind, because you know, you don't know when the next thing gonna happen. People, I've seen people get killed. I've seen people get stabbed up over a cigarette or moving somebody's chair. You know, there's a different mentality of a person that got life, a person that got life from without parole. One person's gonna get out, the other person is trying to escape. You got a guy that got 20 years. He got a little daylight at the end of the tunnel. So the conversations of people that have these different kind of things in front of them is totally different, and that makes you aware. That keeps you thinking about who you're talking to. It keeps you thinking about how your conversation can be. So it kept you sharp every day. You know, stayed in shape. 5:30 in the morning, when you heard the keys to open the door, you had to get up. I wore boots to the showers. You got so many gangs and so many things going on. DC and Baltimore was like one group together. And once we got closer to Washington, DC and Baltimore split up, you know, as in the feds.
Now what prisons were these?
I've been to like 11 prisons. You know, I was at Lawton. I went to Ohio. From Ohio, I went to New Mexico, back to Lawton. I went to Red Onion, which is one level 7 prison, one of the tough prisons here. I went to Sussex, Lee County, Atlanta, Danburg, Petersburg, which was the FCI, and I came home from Cumberland. So I, you know, well traveled and met a lot of people. A lot of smart guys was in there, and a lot of guys that deserved to be in there for the crimes that they had. And you had a lot of guys that done stuff that, you know, they had plenty of remorse because they knew what they were missing out here. You know, but a lot of guys that came home and doing well. Some guys that repeated. But there's a whole lot of difference in how you have to live in there versus being out here. And so far so good for myself. I'm doing pretty well. I'm just trying to get back to the youth.
With your status in prison, were you able to help any other inmates maybe avoid violent situations or move themselves along, or inspire them to want to do something else?
I think from my basketball, I had a sense of somewhat clout, because a lot of guys that came to play with me, I worked out a lot of guys in there. I do yoga, stayed on the field working out, doing push-ups, pull-ups, and I had a good group around me to work out. Me and the gentleman Tony Lewis worked out. You know, when I was at Cumberland, I had the guys who were involved with the R Street crew. They were at Petersburg. They had a lot of classes going on down there. I was involved with them. I've saved a few guys from getting involved in stuff that it really, you know, wasn't worth it. You know, and a lot of times when you have incidents on the compound, everybody gonna get locked down. They take away the visits, take away the commissary. So sometime I did step in with the fact that people knew me and squash some things. You know, and that's really giving back to basketball again.
Okay, now Tony Lewis, that was Rayful's man, right?
Exactly. He's in Cumberland, Maryland, and very humble guy. I don't know too much about his case or what's going on, but cold-blooded gentleman. You know, hasn't told anything in the case. You know, a lot of guys come up and they work out with him. He's got a good group of guys that he work out with. I was happy to be a part of that. You know, I wish him well on trying to get back home.
The world is an addiction.